Hello, Void. It's still May, so my video game tie-in month continues. Even if the first one wasn't actually in May, but details. Not going to be a stickler on it. Phoebe Rizzo's back, and, well, so is Dead Space with Dead Space Aftermath. So, last time I spoke about Dead Space Downfall, and how it worked as both a prequel to the Dead Space games, and also could be viewed as a bit of a standalone. Now, does Dead Space Aftermath work like that? Not as well. But I think it's a bit better put together overall than Downfall was. But it does rely more heavily on being a tie-in to the franchise. Now, Dead Space Aftermath takes place between the events of the Dead Space game and Dead Space 2. It kind of bridges the gap a little bit, as well as introduces you to characters you would later meet in Dead Space 2. So, we last left Dead Space Downfall with undead monstrosities taking over the colonies and the Ishimura ship. The Dead Space video game is the events aboard the Ishimura. This one is about well, some people trying to figure out what happened during the events of Dead Space as they go out to the site where, well, the planet's getting ready to explode, and try to recover fragments of the marker, which started the whole problem. And this one's told actually in a series of flashbacks. Pretty much the events of this movie have already happened, and the main characters have all been, well, taken into custody and are being interrogated over what happened, how much do they know, and if they came into contact with the marker. So, I will say one of the most interesting aspects of this one is the animation stylings. The overarching, so it's told in a series of essentially vignettes, all flashing back, and the overall, I guess the overstory is CG, but not good CG. It's not a very attractive looking CG, and that's kind of a shame. It's not good looking. But when you actually get to the flashbacks, and it goes back to traditional animation, those work. And each of the 4 flashbacks is different. Each have a different animation team behind it. So, you get a good variety. Also, interestingly, as you get it from 4 people's perspectives, you see mostly their interpretations of things. Characters, how they're drawn, will be changed in between each of them for more of how they view themselves and view each other. So it's a little interesting tidbit on there. So, essentially, they ended up going down to the planet and finding one shard, essentially, of the marker, and the person who touched it began seeing his dead daughter everywhere and began shooting people. Which led to the events on their own ship as as it began spreading and causing more chaos, and it is kind of a more basic plot, but it's more the storytelling style that has the interest here. And I will say this one plays with the madness aspect a lot better than Dead Space Downfall did, as one character is pretty much already completely out of his mind, and for, I believe Cutter was his name, so he's already constantly talking to his daughter who died a few weeks ago. Then Then 2 of the other characters are more or less stable, but have obviously come into contact with seeing how bad things got. And then is one of our characters who actually ties into the game, uh, the character of Strauss. Strauss is an actual main centerpiece of Dead Space 2, so seeing him here and his going from a bit neurotic to outright then obsessed and manic, it kind of, you see how he got to where he is, in Dead Space 2. So the madness is handled much better. The shifting animation styles is cool, and this one actually builds up a little bit of the horror tension a bit better than Downfall did. But God, is the overall CG animation section ugly. It's not pretty. And it's like, well, if a character's not moving, it just looks like they put a plastic doll of them there. I mean, some of the visuals are still effective in it, but overall, the voice acting work is pretty well done, though, and that's the one thing that helps as a character's animation styles are constantly changing. The voice actor still sticks with it, but so you can still always tell who's supposed to be who. So this one's only getting about a 3 MacGuffin. There was things I liked a lot better than Downfall, but Downfall was a lot more consistent. So, and this one relies a lot more heavily on you being more invested in the Dead Space franchise than Downfall did. So, this one, like, you can watch it without it because you are able to pick things up easily enough, but without the knowledge of the events that led up to this, you're already trying to tread water to keep up. And if you also play the next game and see where it's going, the events in this mean a little bit more, but the second game is not nearly as required as the first. But overall, it's interesting, but the best I can give it is a 3. And while I did like the style, that CG part was really ugly, and I keep coming back to it. But it's worth seeing if you like the games. Otherwise, both this one and Downfall are pretty much passable. If you're not interested in Dead Space, there's not a lot to really pull you into it. The first one might get you your vague interests, but how some of the things are handled in that one aren't as enthralling. And those elements are handled better here, but this one's, you can't get inside it as well without that knowledge. But on the other hand, as these two are obviously just tie-ins to help promote the games, it did get me to pick up the game again, and I'm now replaying it, so good job, movies. You did it. You got me to be doing a replay here. Well, hopefully this month doesn't get my backlog going too badly. But my next one, I'm going to be kicking off another, I think another franchise, and I've got a lot in that one, so it's going to be sticking with that theme for some time. So see you soon, probably tomorrow. Have a good night.